Oh, good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to have you at the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program webinar, also known as BOPP. My name is Kyle James. I am the Business Development Manager at the Bermuda Business Development Agency, and I am very excited to be the facilitator of this webinar today. Now, I first want to give a special thanks to the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, specifically acknowledging the Honorable Minister Walter Roban, JPMP, Government of Bermuda. He has been instrumental in spearheading this project, and we'll be hearing a bit more from him in a minute as he is one of our esteemed panelists for today. I would also like to introduce BIOS and the Wait Institute, which are founding partners together with the government of Bermuda to bring us this program. First, about the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences, or BIOS as we call it, is a nonprofit research center in Bermuda that seeks and shares knowledge of the oceans through scientific research, field expeditions, and educational experiences. Operating for more than 110 years, research at BIOS includes investigations in oceanography, marine biology, genetics and molecular biology, chemistry, air quality, and climate change. Also, we have the Wait Institute. They create and implement sustainable ocean plans in partnership with the governments and local stakeholders around the globe. They have partnered with the government of Bermuda to provide technical assistance, funding, and capacity building for this program. So we thank them for bringing this to us today. Also, I would like to introduce two of the public-facing staff of the BOPP program. First, Ms. Cheryl Mapp, she is the site coordinator. And secondly, Mr. Weldon Wade, who is the communications coordinator. And although today he'll be behind the scenes, he will be the face that you will see on all of the communications for BOPP moving forward. Mr. Wade is also a commercial diver and community founder of Bermuda's Guardians of the Reef, and much, much more. So he will be a part of our technical support. And I just want you to note that he'll be taking questions, note of all of the questions that are being asked today, so that if any doesn't get answered online live today, that we will make sure that we will get the answers to all of them and share the information to everybody. So lastly, we have two additional panelists for today. We have Mr. Emanuel Gonçalves. He is a marine science professor, and Mr. Roland Baldeo, which is a program coordinator and executive director of the Grenada Coral Reef Foundation. So we are very excited to have this awesome amount of panelists today to inform us of what's going on with this program. So it's just a reminder that this program, BOPP, is at the beginning of its process. And this is going to be the launch of the public inclusion. So this is a reminder, nothing has been decided yet, mapped, or set in stone. BOPP is looking to continue to work with local organizations and actively build those relationships. But it is so important that we get the public's inclusion of their opinions and comments, because that will form the foundation of the success of this project. So after today, please tune in to be a participant in all of BOPP's initiatives. So lastly, before we jump into today's webinar, I have one last special person that I would like to introduce. Her name is Ms. Kelvy Bird. She is a graphic facilitator. What is a graphic facilitator? Well, it is an incredibly talented artist who will be turning our conversation today into a work of art. So throughout this webinar, she'll be live drawing through each of our discussions, and she'll be looking for common themes to represent the marine spatial planning and blue economy visually. So this is definitely a unique art form, and I'm personally very excited to see what the end result will look like. So you too will have to stay to the end to see this masterpiece. So as we look to dive in to today's webinar, I want to first introduce the Honorable Minister Walter Roban, JPMP. He is the Deputy Premier of Bermuda and the Minister of Home Affairs since November 2018. He was previously the Minister of Transport and Regulatory Affairs from July 2017. Mr. Roban has worked in the legal profession in Bermuda and in also the banking industry, most recently as an assistant vice president in the private banking division of HSBC Bank in Bermuda. Through his leadership, the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program was born in June 2019, when the minister signed a memorandum of understanding with the Waite Institute and BIOS to begin a 5-year program to plan for Bermuda's ocean future. So please, let's welcome the minister to our virtual stage.
Thank you, Kyle, and welcome everyone, and good afternoon on behalf of the government of Bermuda. I am so very pleased to be here today to launch the virtual program of the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program, which we are so proud of. So some of you might be asking, what exactly is this initiative? The Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program, which is commonly known as BOPP, is part of the government's renewed commitment and our effort to collaborate with the Waite Institute and the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences, known as BIOS here in Bermuda, to support the sustainable growth of marine activities and resources, commonly referred here in Bermuda and perhaps other places as the blue economy. Our government is pleased to be part of the leadership of this effort, and led by myself as the Minister for Home Affairs, and I'm responsible for the environment, which includes a number of activities around the marine space in Bermuda, working with the Waite Institute, bringing economic planning and scientific experience, and the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences providing scientific expertise and consultations. As many of you may know, on June 5th, 2019, I met with the Waite founder and chairman, Mr. Ted Waite, in Bermuda, and Dr. William Curry, director and chief executives of BIOS, Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences, in order to sign the memorandum of understanding, which brought us all together to work together to protect at least 20% and up to 20%, I mean, of Bermuda's exclusive economic zone in a new marine protected area. So what are the goals of the program? This program is led by Bermudians for Bermudians, and each step of that process will involve a broad stakeholder consultation to ensure that the process that will bring about the blue economy will be supported by everyone. You don't want anyone to feel that they have not been included in this process locally, in particular. We want to use it to support and develop marine industry. This program will include assessments of marine industries such as tourism, marine transport, and commercial and recreational fisheries to best understand their status and how to address their needs as we develop in this area, and how these marine resources can be used in the best possible way. We want to optimize marine activities for economic growth, and the guidelines for future ocean activity and how it will be used will be developed with a goal of optimizing sustainable economic growth across all marine sectors. The program will use a process called Marine Spatial Planning, which is similar to a land-based planning. And that will be the planning process which will begin to map out how we can responsibly ensure positive economic growth within the marine environment. We want to protect and invest in our marine resources. So our government has pledged to fully protect 20% of Bermuda's 465,000 square kilometers of exclusive economic zone. The exact locations of those protected areas will be determined through a proper process of scientific analysis, economic assessments, and of course, public input. Stakeholder consultation is so crucial to this. So the most important aspect of the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program is that it is led by the government and will include comprehensive consultations with members of the public throughout its process from beginning to end. This is a process we are definitely committed to. And the memorandum was signed between the parties to ensure that the priorities of Bermudians will be first and foremost in whatever is decided. The plans will be designed with input from a number of groups, such as obviously departments of the government, cultural leaders in our community, non-governmental organizations, and of course the general public who will have an interest in this. We have made every effort to include our commercial and recreational fishing community. We want to ensure that the diving community and boating communities are involved. And of course, tourism operators, as we want to ensure that they are included so that visitors who come to Bermuda can see all the positive activity and appreciate the continuous effort to protect the natural environment so that they can enjoy it, but also people living here can enjoy it. And we're also interested in efforts and working with those who are developing maritime energy and also the shipping community, the international and local shipping community. And I must stress that what this program will look like in Bermuda really will depend not only on the input from the government, but also all these stakeholders. They will shape it with us. WAIT will shape it with us. BIOS will help us to shape it. And with all the other partners that I've outlined, they will help to shape it. So the possibilities we believe are diverse, and we will carefully tailor them to the needs and wishes of our local community. And I look forward to the input that everyone who's on this webinar now and into the future will give to this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Roban. And before we move on, we just want to put one question out there for you. For all of those who might be at home saying, you know, how do I know my voice will be heard? You've continuously stressed how important it is for that public consultation. What is a message that you can then give to those who might not just feel that their voice is going to be heard?
Well, I can give them a pledge from myself as a minister, as a deputy premier, representing the government of Bermuda, that this process will not be complete without the wider public input. You don't have to be a fisherman, you don't have to be a marine scientist, you don't have to be an advocate for an international organization to have our attention in this process. It starts with the average person who has a keen interest in our marine environment having a say. If there is any indication that that's not happening, I myself will seek to pause and ensure that it happens. We do not want this process to go forward without wider public input. And no matter who you are, whether you're a school child in primary school who is keen to know what's going on and has an interest in the sea, or you're an adult who perhaps just likes to go swimming, or you're somebody who enjoys fishing off the rocks, as we say in Bermuda. All of you have the opportunity to have a say in this process. It will not be complete without ensuring that the wider public view is heard. We have to have that voice in this process. This is actually for the future. And so after people like myself have gone to pasture, out of politics, out of public life, it is expected that this initiative will have life. And I'm also comforted by the WAIT Foundation as well, and their partners who have told us from the beginning, we are not going anywhere. This is not just a fly-by-night project. They are here to work with us for the long run. That comforts me to know that even after I'm not involved with this, they will be here working with the community, working with the stakeholders to continue to shape this Blue Economy Initiative with us. So I'm confident that the public will be heard. And I will personally ensure that that is the case as we move forward.
Thank you very much, Minister. I know I am personally very excited to see what comes at the end of BOPP. You know, we've been surrounded by water from the day I was born, and to know that we are now crafting a strategy for the future of the island and our young people is very, very exciting. So thank you. And I'm sure we will have some more questions for you as we continue to move forward. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Emanuel Gonçalves. Mr. Gonçalves is an accomplished marine biologist, underwater photographer, and leader in the marine conservation space. Based in Portugal, he is currently a marine science professor and a member of the board and chief scientist at the Oceano Azul Foundation. In partnership with the Wake Institute, he oversees the Blue Azores program, a sister project of BOPP that is involved in the creation, monitoring, and implementation of marine protected areas and blue economies. I would like to welcome Mr. Emanuel to the virtual stage.
Well, thank you very much, Kyle. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with all of you today. Dear Minister, dear colleagues, I think these are very exciting times. And I would like to, first of all, tell you how honored and thankful I am for the invitation. And I thought that I could share with you some of our views on how programs such as this one can truly make a difference. So I'll try to share my screen. I hope this will work. Please let me know. Is it working? Everyone is seeing the screen?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, so let me start by setting the stage. We face a current situation where we are in the middle of both a climate emergency and a species extinction crisis. And the science is clear on these. These two reports from the United Nations are absolutely clear on where we are. And the main reason behind these is because we have an economic model which is broken, and we have essentially based that economic model on unsustainable use. And if you want to express this with a cartoon, this is what happened in the last century. Essentially, we had an ocean full of fish where that fish was sustainably collected to feed and to support the human population. And now we have an ocean full of fishing vessels and pollution and many other stresses. And the ecosystems are changing, and they are changing in a way which is not supporting anymore an economy which is thriving. And so when we talk about the blue economy, we talk about a paradigm that intends to change this situation. So the blue economy is something that intends to do three things at the same time. One is that it protects nature, because only with healthy oceans, we can have healthy communities and healthy economies. Without fish, there are no fishers. The second one is that this is an economy that promotes the circular economy, clean technologies, renewable energies. So an economy that breaks the cycle of destruction of the current economic model. And thirdly, it has to be an economy also that provides social and economic benefits for all, that contributes to food security, to poverty eradication, to livelihoods, to income, to employment, to health, to equity, and to social stability. So although it makes a lot of sense, it's something which is really hard to achieve, because as I said in the beginning, our currently economic model is far from this blue economy. So how does the blue economy differs from the maritime economy? Essentially, the blue economy is focusing on ocean wealth. So we consider what we can call the blue natural capital as the basis for such an economy. So it has to be an economy that provides these services to society, but it can only do that if the ocean is healthy, if the ocean is protected, and if the ocean is sustainably used. And the maritime economy includes all sectors, even the ones that are currently non-sustainable. And so we can say that the maritime economy is mainly focused on growth, is the old model, if you want, of doing things, the old economy, whereas the blue economy is centered on the quality of life for people, quality of life for the ocean, what we can call ocean health. And so how can we achieve a true blue economy with the tools that we have? And this is where I would like to introduce to you the concept of marine spatial planning. So marine spatial planning is not more than what we do in land. It's planning for the future, is to optimize the goals and the plans for the future that we want. And this, of course, is the basis for the blue economy. There are lots of uses currently in the ocean, and these uses need to be managed. And so through marine spatial planning, we can put around the table the different interests, identify the conflicts, and they can be integrated and solved peacefully and in a just way. Of course, there are other ways to do this, but I think we want to avoid those. And these are the ways of conflict, these are the ways of overuse, these are the ways of not providing for all. So what does it take to have a marine spatial planning in place? Actually, it's a kindly straightforward process, although it can be very complex in theory. In practice, it involves essentially 5 steps. So the first step is assessing what we have, assessing values, assessing uses, mapping them. But it's also important to understand conflicts, to understand where those uses interact with each other, how can those conflicts be solved. And for that, of course, we have to find common ground. We have to have participation, as the Honorable Minister just said. We have to have an overall involvement of all the society. And of course, with that, we build solutions. And these solutions are the ones which can be the basis for the blue economy. The solutions allow us to protect the blue natural capital, but allow us also to decide which activities do we want to promote, where, and how. So we plan for the future. And we know that planning is really important today because the future is changing, and it's changing a lot. Climate change is bringing lots of modifications of the systems. And so the situation that we have today is not the same that we will have in 10 years' time or in 20 years' time. And so it's very important for these planning processes to incorporate adaptation, to be able to adapt to this change so that we can still and we can continue providing the benefits to society. But I would also like to raise your attention to the fact that we should not forget the ocean is the wilderness. And it's in a much worse shape than people usually realize. And so if we have no fish, of course, there is no wealth. And without wealth, we don't have an economy. And so there are in the ocean is the last frontier on the planet. It's an environment that it's full of fragile and beautiful creatures, such as these ones. For most of these creatures, we don't know the basics. We don't know where they live. We don't know how they breed. We don't know how they find partners. We know very little, actually, of these ocean ecosystems, which are full with beauty. They are full with creatures that most of them, we don't have yet studied them. We don't have yet described them for science. And yet we are losing them. We are losing them at a rate much greater than the one that the systems can support just because we are overusing the ocean. And let me just bring to you this video that was filmed in the Azores of a deep sea creature, which is an anglerfish, that has a fantastic feature, which is the male is parasitic. And so this is a breeding pair, actually, that you're seeing in these images. And the male is a very, very small creature over here that is attached to the female. And when they attach to the female, essentially their body is transformed into a sac of sperm that will fertilize the eggs of the female. And this fish has this amazing system, these amazing antennas to understand their environment. And so they feel their environment through their fins. And so until very recently, we only knew this fish from museums, from collections by fishers. But now with the capacity that we have with submersibles, using scientific expeditions, using these partnerships, we can bring all this knowledge to people. We can bring all this information to society, and we can explain to people why is it so important to protect the ocean. And so this is just an example of the beauty that I personally find in the sea. Let me finish by talking just briefly about the Blue Azores program. As was said, is a sister program of the Bermuda. And in this program, we partnered also with the Waite Institute and the government of the Azores with this common vision of protect, promote, and value the blue natural capital. So to protect, we need conservation. To promote, we need sustainable fisheries, but we also need economy. And to value, we need education. And this program tries to bring everything. So the vision is that a healthy ocean is key for human development. And so ocean conservation and economic development need to go hand in hand. So in this program, there are a number of angles, from conservation to legislation, education, economy, science, marine spatial planning, and the participatory process to achieve this goal of fully protect 15% of DEZ of the Azores, which amounts to around 150,000 square kilometers of ocean in the middle of the Atlantic. And so healthy ocean and healthy people, this is what we are aiming at. And the good news is that marine protection works. We know that when we put these protective measures in place, the ocean ecosystems respond. And in marine protected areas, we'll have more fish, we'll have bigger fish, and we will have more fish in the water. But it's also important to understand and to try to promote additional livelihoods and additional ways to develop the blue economy. This blue bio-value is exactly that. It's trying to promote ocean solutions by accelerating startups so that we can have these new avenues. This is some images from the wonderful ocean of the Azores that, of course, shares a lot with Bermuda. And so I would finish by saying this, that the current situation where we are, this pandemic, shows us clearly that the future is nature, and we need to understand that humans and nature are one, and we need to rebuild nature in order to have sustainable economies. I will just call your attention to this Rise Up Blue Call to Action that was just launched. Any organization can sign up for this. And I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Emanuel. That was quite interesting, I must say. I think this is a perfect time to probably check in with Kelvy, because I'm wondering if she would have drawn that Dumbo octopus that you put up there. That looked quite interesting. But for those who weren't here at the very beginning, Kelvy is our graphic facilitator for today, and she's going to be interpreting all of the discussions that we have here today. And at the end, we'll be creating an entire masterpiece. So you see there that we have the introduction, the Honorable Walter Roban, Minister Roban has the case for Bermuda in the next bubble, which is flanked by the infinity sign there, coming together, supporting the marine industry. And last, we have Emanuel Gonçalves, who also has that infinity sign. But one key message that I heard was building a sustainable model. So very exciting so far, and that fish on top is quite lovely as well, Kelvy. But as we continue to move on, we have Mr. Who do we have next? We have Mr. Roland Baldeo. Roland is a former fisheries officer with the Grenada Fisheries Division and has extensive regional and international experience working with and training artisanal fishers. Roland has been the National Marine Protected Area Coordinator in Grenada from 2008 to 2016, and then he took early retirement from the government service. He is now the Executive Director of the Grenada Coral Reef Foundation. So we welcome Roland to the virtual stage, and we will have questions for Emanuel and Roland right after Roland finishes.
Okay, thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. As the moderator said, I am from Grenada, and for those who don't know Grenada good, it's a small island in the southern Caribbean, just about 100,000 persons, the population. So I'm going to be sharing our experience with a form of marine spatial planning. We have been working with MPAs and so I'll just share our experiences, what worked, what did not work, and managing and setting up marine protected areas and so. So I have a presentation which is basically a show and tell. So let me just see if I, okay, just 1 second. Nando, help me here. I'm just trying to get my presentation up. Minimize. No, well, even other things. Are you seeing my screen now?
Not yet.
Okay, we tested a while ago. All right. Okay, I think we'll get it now. Okay, I'm sharing now. So you have it now? You're seeing now?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, all right. So as I said, we'll share our experience, and we have been implementing Marine Protected Area program over the past few years. And first of all, we had a systems plan on identifying the areas that we wanted to set up as marine protected areas. But key to it, and as I said, it's a sort of spatial plan that we did. It's to have the different zones in the different areas that we were working with. And I'll just share one example. I mean, this is one of the MPAs that we worked with over the past few years. And as you can see, we have different zones in that MPA. And the key lesson, well, not the key lesson yet, but in deciding on the different zones, it was to work with the stakeholders and the users of the area. And we had a list of stakeholders, and so we had all these were the stakeholders: the Fisheries Division, the Tourism Authority, Ministry of Tourism, the fishers are key operating in that area, the Coast Guard, all the different stakeholders, the Scuba Divers Association, the hotel, the Marine and Yachting Association. We had so many users and stakeholders. So we had to work with all of them in a consultation to decide on the zones, and so looking at the uses of the area and the zones. And this was part of our stakeholder meeting working. We had a representative from each of the different sectors and so around the table talking about the different the issues we have and the conflicts that we have in the area. And bearing in mind, of course, that we were doing all this and with the understanding that Grenada pledged to protect 25% of our nearshore coastal areas as part of the Caribbean Challenge Initiative. While other Caribbean countries pledged 20%, we went a step further to pledge 25%. So we had to we had to engage stakeholders and so. And initially, when we set up the first few MPAs, we had a lot of pushbacks, and I could say that we did not do enough consultations and engage, especially the users in the area. And in one particular area, we had a lot of pushback from the fishermen and saying, look, we are only providing avenues and livelihoods for the tourism sector, and we are pushing them out. And in one area, the Prime Minister is the parliamentary representative for the area. And he said something in a meeting sometime after, which was very profound. I hope you can hear it. I'll play it and let me see if you can hear it. It's a very short clip.
I know it firsthand. I know when initiative was taken to establish the Millennium Protected Area, that I was just close to the bulkhead of my home. And I was then in opposition, that there were serious concerns of the fishermen and the area and the people earn livelihood from activities there, that there was in fact an attempt to hurt the people in the area based on political considerations. And of course, I had to bring the Ministry of Agriculture and Environment to attempt to educate and to inform the public. I couldn't take responsibility for what was being done at the time. But I could tell you this, the same fishermen today are telling me, and the areas close to the protected areas, they are in fact catching better quality of fish than they have ever caught. Bigger and better.
And that was critical in terms of moving forward, that after the fishermen start seeing the benefit. Initially we had pushbacks and so from them. And one of the other areas, it's a sort of rural area, the fishing community of St. John's. We had another MPA setting up, and we did a lot of consultations again with users and stakeholders in coming up with the different zones. We had a sanctuary, we had anchoring zone, bitsing fishing zone, and so different zones in the area. And the stakeholder consultations, like you see here, it was very critical for us in moving forward and getting acceptance and in terms of setting up that MPA. And in that MPA, we had to have a fish sanctuary. And we had a lot of pushbacks again from the fishermen saying that this would interfere with their livelihood. But key to it and the success of this was the fishermen embracing this zoning plan and to move forward. And the fishermen, we adopted a model of local area management where the fishermen involved in the management of this MPA. And I think with all the marine spatial planning and so, if you don't have the users and so on board with you, you'll have problems. And we learned from that, with some mistakes that were made before. So the fishermen were key, and they embraced this and said it's our fish and our future. They start having consultations with other fishers and so in the area. Just the general public going from house to house in that community, talking to people about the different zones and the importance of protecting our marine environment and the reefs and so. And I think that had a huge impact, acceptance of that, what would be a mini spatial plan for the area. And so after all these consultations and so with the fishermen taking the lead, then the ministry convened a stakeholder meeting where everyone were around the table now. And, and key in that process also was the participation of the Minister of Fisheries. He went and dived with us in the area to see the reef and so. And with the fishermen, as you can see him here now, he's on the boat with the.
It's what it is that we are doing in the best interests of our whole community. People at the front that would directly be affected and the fisherfolk.
Right, that's the minister with the fishermen looking at the area again. But we had a big pushback, and that was one of the lessons that we learned. One of the fishermen area who didn't want to give up operating in the fish sanctuary, what we'll say, he had the ears of the minister. He helped the minister campaign in the last election. So maybe the minister was sort of sympathetic to him. And then eventually we had some delays in, really getting that MPA gazetted and so for actual management. But that's a temporary setback. But also key to working with users and stakeholders in doing a spatial plan an MPA is involving the youths. As you can see, this was one of the youth involved in, doing this design for an artwork, mural on a wall, and so he got a new computer as part of winning that contest. We have been working with a youth group in the area, as you can see. That's where we setting up one of the MPAs and working with a youth group to build the understanding and the appreciation for protecting the marine environment. They are trained in certificate. They're doing their scuba certification now, and it was really heartening to see these youths and so young ladies and so in their scuba gear doing that training now. So all this, was important for us in moving forward, and the whole idea of zoning and involving stakeholders in moving forward and setting up a spatial plan is really, really important. You have to do it from onset. You cannot have stakeholders, after you decide what you want to do. And that was a mistake made in the past. Sometimes we decide on what zones we want to have, and then we go to the stakeholders. But you have to involve the users and stakeholders early, get them to embrace, get them to see where we want with this. And I think the job would be a lot much easier as you go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roland. That was quite interesting. And for all of our viewers out there, you have heard from Emanuel and Roland about marine spatial planning, and these are just examples so that you can get your head around and understand what this process involves and what it will actually do for Bermuda as we continue to go along this road. So I'm just going to open up the floor for some questions for Roland and Emanuel. For me, I thought it was quite interesting because the two common themes I heard was consultation and collaboration. And I think that's pretty much what we've heard from the very beginning. So actually, my first question will go to you, Emanuel. Why do you feel that this is important that Bermuda starts this now?
Thank you very much, Kyle. Well, I would say that the sooner you start, the sooner you can get the benefits. So I think the now, it's really important because we know science is quite clear in telling us that the current situation is non-sustainable. So if you continue the current ways, we know where we are heading. And I think we are not heading in a good direction. So there will be more impact on coastal communities. There will be less fish in the water. There will be less prosperity. So the sooner you start these processes, and they take some time because you need the science, you need the involvement of everyone, you need the solutions to come to the table, they need to be agreed, to be discussed, and then to be implemented. The sooner you can get a governance mechanism that is intending to change the way that the current unsustainable model is driving us. And so I think it's very, very timely. And this is the same thing for the Azores, that we are starting to understand that we need to change our ways, that others are already doing that, and they are getting the benefits of changing the way that we manage the ocean. And so the sooner you start, of course, the sooner you can get these solutions coming to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think growing up as an islander, one of the things I used to think was, we have tons of water around here. We have infinite resources, and you start to learn that a lot of different aspects of the ocean play on each other. And if you cut or sever the tie at one point, you really do affect something longer down the road. So thank you for that explanation and giving us more around the Marine Spatial Plan. For you, Roland, did you encounter any challenges in gathering people together? I mean, you had a long list of organizations and people you felt necessary to have consultation with. What challenges might you have found? I actually think Roland, looks like we lost him. So I will save that question in the bank and save it to the end. But what I will like to do again is to check in with Kelvy. My eyes keep on going right to that center square because this is looking like a true masterpiece. Are we able to zoom it? Perfect, perfect. And the last one we looked at was Ms. Roland and looking around at the Marine Spatial Plan experience, the engaging users and stakeholders, working to establish different zones, loving the reef there. And number one is to build that awareness to include consultation and collaboration. Awesome. Once Roland comes back, we will ask him how that process went for him specifically. So we have one last. Okay. So we are gonna, because I know you have to leave a little early. We are gonna jump to you. And the question that I had for you was: did you encounter any challenges in bringing and gathering people together?
Not really. I mean, one of the first things we did was to identify all users and stakeholders in a particular area that we were working. And then we engaged them, we met with these users and stakeholders individually as groups and so, and then they selected representatives, and then we met with all stakeholders around the table. So it was not difficult to get them, but I mean, of course, all of them had different varying interests and priorities and so on. We had to work that in deciding on the zones, and so that was the little challenge that we had. But yes, it wasn't difficult to involve them and get them on board.
Awesome, and thank you very much for that. As I mentioned, I would like to introduce our last panelist for the day. We have Ms. Cheryl Mapp. She is the site coordinator for BOPP. She brings a broad range of experience to the program as an attorney and a former compliance officer with the Department of Environmental Protection. She helps to lead stakeholder engagement, logistics, and will share more on how you can get involved with the program. Welcome, Cheryl, to the virtual stage.
Thank you, Kyle, and good afternoon, everyone. As Kyle says, I am the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program Site Coordinator, and I thank you for your attendance at the webinar today as we launch BOPP. Following on from the remarks made earlier by the Minister Roban, I'd like to just further introduce you to BOPP and explain some of our initiatives. As you heard, BOPP is a commitment by the government of Bermuda in collaboration with the Wade Institute and the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences to support the sustainable growth of marine activities and resources and fully protect 20% of Bermuda's exclusive economic zone. BOPP is supported by the Cabinet of the Bermuda government and a team of principals representing the 3 partner organizations. The steering committee of BOPP is comprised of representatives from key government departments and public sector agencies, supported by the BOPP administrative team. BOPP is committed to developing 3 pillars of work: marine spatial planning, the blue economy, and sustainable fisheries. No, I forgot I didn't have my glasses on. Oh, and Kevin, you have to, I'm sorry, you have to get that a little bit broader for me. I'm sorry, I just got to raise that up. The Marine Spatial Planning is developed to develop and legally adopt an enforceable, comprehensive EEZY Marine Spatial Plan designed to sustainably manage resources and protect 20% of Bermuda's waters as no-take fisheries replenishment zones. The Blue Economy will assist Bermuda with the diversification of its national revenue and strengthen the sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth, improve livelihoods and jobs, and ecosystem health. Sustainable fisheries will improve fisheries management where appropriate and support Bermuda's fisheries goals, including the implementation of the FAD pilot project. As an integral part of the BOPP program is the stakeholder engagement process. We are now just beginning to work with stakeholders and the public, and today actually marks the beginning of a key component of the success of the program, with public engagement and participation by Bermuda residents to identify how we use our marine resources. BOPP is committed to conducting an inclusive process where persons are involved in decision-making and policy development initiatives. At this juncture, it is important that I highlight to you that BOPP does not have a predetermined plan. Its preliminary works have identified a blue economy strategy and a marine spatial plan as the tools which will be used to help Bermudians manage and sustainably grow its marine environment. However, it will be up to us as Bermudians to determine what blue investments should be prioritized and draw the map for Bermuda's future marine environment. We have identified 8 stakeholder focus groups, which we call our Ocean Village. They are commercial fisheries, passive recreation and conservation, tourism, boating and sports, aquaculture, diving, snorkeling and swimming, recreational fisheries, utilities, infrastructure and development, and wastewater pollution management. These facilitated working groups will discuss various aspects of marine use and make recommendations as to the development of the blue economy. The Ocean Village is comprised of stakeholders in Bermuda that have a specific interest and perspective regarding Bermuda's ocean environment. Members of the Ocean Village will provide advice to BOPP activities, and feedback from these focus groups will be publicly available. We invite you to contact us, the BOPP administrative team, to join a focus group that suits your interests. Finally, I'd like to share with you the exciting news that the public will have an opportunity to participate in an ocean use survey. This survey will be used to identify areas most used by the public and help us to plan for future ocean use. As part of the survey, you will be asked to identify on a map those areas of Bermuda's marine environment most used by you. The survey responses will help develop data required for the Marine Spatial Plan, and your responses will be kept anonymous. It is very important that as many Bermuda residents as possible participate in these survey options so that we get a fair representation of Bermudians' priorities. Please visit our website, bermudaoceanprosperity.org, and head to the Ocean Use Survey page to find links to the survey. There are both desktop and mobile or tablet versions for your convenience. And the surveys should not take much time to complete. We also have a team of BOPP volunteers available to assist you with the survey as required. Additional volunteers are welcome to participate, and training will begin shortly. Please feel free to contact me for further information about how to take the survey or to become a volunteer. As a Bermudian, I'm excited to be part of the BOPP team on this project, and I encourage everyone interested in our marine environment to get involved. This will help to shape our future. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. And before we jump into wider questions, I just want to reiterate there were 2 main ways for the public to get involved. One was the Ocean Survey, in which I believe the link to that survey will be put in the chat. So everybody, please look at the chat and use that link to be able to access the survey. But the other way was to get involved with any stakeholder groups. Can you reiterate what those who are sitting at their homes, how they can get involved in the conversation and discussions around the marine spatial planning?
Yes, thank you, Kyle. There's actually 8 groups that the public can see which group best suits their particular interests. So, and I would just encourage everyone to reach out to me and or go through the BOPP website and leave your name, and we will be able to get back in touch with you and join you up to one of our stakeholder working groups. They will be public groups, so you will have an opportunity to join the group as and when, if you're not able to connect with us now, hopefully you'll have an opportunity to join when they have their public meetings.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So I want to say a thank you to all the panelists, and now we're just going to ask you a few questions that have come in through our Facebook chat. Once the minister gets back, we're going to throw a few his way, but let's start with you, Emanuel. Oh, the minister is here, so I'm going to start with the minister. Minister Roban, what is your vision overall for the future of Bermuda's blue economy? As we know, programs have start and stopped times in the timeline. Once this program has come to a conclusion, what's next for Bermuda?
Well, thank you for that question. It's a big question, but I'm sure I can give people a picture of where I would like to see, and the government is interested in taking the whole concept of the blue economy. What we would like to see is a blue economy to become almost another sector of Bermuda's economic picture that helps to facilitate greater growth and opportunity and sustainability. And in some ways, it's almost Bermuda going full circle. This as a settlement started as a maritime-based economy, with shipping and all other aspects of that economy being the key sustainable factor for Bermuda and its settlers. That only changed about 100 years ago. So for almost 300-something years of Bermuda's history, the ocean was Bermuda's economic livelihood. That changed more so in the 20th century. And now Bermuda really now has to get back to its roots, if I can be blunt. So the vision is making our maritime environment a key sector of our economy. Right now, we kind of just receive goods from ships, and there's pretty much just our commercial and local fishing community that is a part of that. Well, there are other things that can be a part of it. We have only limited ourselves to the 22 square miles of land we live on, when actually the ocean is another frontier where sustainable activity can go on. Obviously, scientific, obviously, other aspects of life can be going on in the economy, but we can link the growth of our energy sector to the ocean in a responsible way. There are economic activities that now, due to technology, are possible through the ocean, like mariculture and aquaculture and fish farming and other activities where we can responsibly use the ocean. And also, one of the things that Bermuda has ventured into to expanding, which is linked to the ocean, is subsea cable activity. We have created in a sustainable way protected corridors that can facilitate greater telecommunications activity into Bermuda and out of Bermuda in a responsible way. Telecommunications is one of the great global expanding economic activities, and Bermuda has taken a responsible approach to linking itself to that. And because of the ocean around us, and we already have a legacy activity in this area, we're able to do it. So the ocean, essentially, for me, around a vision, is it will become another sector of our economic picture that will allow for expansion and sustainability. It will create new jobs for locals linked to the ocean in ways that we have never seen before, whether it is with through technology or through activity, we have the potential, even though it's just one small component of it, to expand our fisheries beyond the reef area, and that done in a responsible way will increase Bermuda's food security and also potentially be an export market of fishing for sustainable varieties of fish. Obviously, we would like to see the if that fishing activity is going to expand, it will be us taking advantage of sustainable varieties of fish and not just exploiting varieties that we know are that are protected. If anything, we want to ensure the protection of the different varieties and species within our expandable exclusive economic zone, so that it will not only allow us to grow our economy, but attract people to Bermuda. We know Bermuda to be a corridor for whale migration, and that's something that many people are interested in. And so we would want to ensure that the activity within our marine exclusive economic zone not only helps to expand the Bermuda economy as it exists and create additional pillars and sustainable pillars around energy, around marine research, around other marine activity, even linked to our tourism, but actually will create the jobs and growth and opportunity in a sustainable way that we desire, and continue the tradition of protection of our marine environment, which is well established in Bermuda.
Thank
so
you,
that's
Minister.
what I have for where we go. And this, if it is sustainable, will live long after I'm here, which I think is really my goal, is to ensure that whatever I do has a life and has relevance beyond whether I'm here, so that the next person who takes up the ball can continue with the vision and see that it benefits Bermuda.
Thank you, Minister Roban, very much for that. Hopefully that has clearly identified the direction that the country is going. Emanuel, I have a question for you. You've had experience with this, obviously, in the Azores. Can you tell us, Bermuda, and as a Bermudian, a small country, we feel that, the government has done a great job already doing environmental management. What will this program add that's extra that maybe Bermuda has not seen before?
Yes, well, thank you very much, Kyle. I think that, first of all, let me say that you are very, very, very fortunate. I think the vision that the Honorable Minister just expressed is exactly what everyone is after. And so having someone that has the helm, has the responsibility of implementing public policies with such a clear vision about development and about how to use the ocean sustainably, I think it's a great asset for you, for Bermudians. I think that maybe I would say that we should not be afraid of change. Change is coming our way, and the way that is coming is not a good one, because we are losing, we are losing our assets, we are losing the blue natural capital, we are losing livelihoods. And so it's always possible to try to do better and to do better. Let me give you an example from the Azores, which is, I think, a very interesting one and goes completely in line with the Honorable Minister just said. In the 1980s, there was a very important economic activity in the Azores that started, in the beginning of the last century, which was whaling. So people were catching whales for many different types of products and selling them to the markets. And of course, in the 80s, there was a decision to stop catching the whales. And so all of a sudden you had this problem, which is what is going to happen to all these people that was dependent on this industry. And of course, the Azores found that a whale is much more worth, much more valuable alive than dead. And they can sell this whale over and over and over again to tourism. And so the whale watchers of the past became the tourist developers of the future and the present. And this is now a thriving economic sector in the Azores. And so this is what I think it's a good example on how we can improve our economic model, we can improve our ways, so that we make sure that the blue economy is actually bringing this wealth to our islands, is bringing this wealth to our countries. And I'm pretty sure that the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program is a great way to support the vision that the minister just brought to us.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Emanuel. Next question I have, we've seen some discussion on the Facebook chat, and we've had a question about some blue economy research that has already begun. So my next question goes to you, Ms. Mapp. When can we expect to have the results of these studies?
Thanks, Carl. I think the research is continuing, so I think probably in the fall or later in the fall, as we are, we should be able to get back with the results of those studies.
Thank you very much. And then I'm going to jump back to you, Minister. And I have a question around previous initiatives that might have been in the blue economy arena. There seems to be a lot of discussions on, things that have gone in the past. How is this BOPP initiative different, and how will it be able to reach the goals that we are looking to achieve?
Thank you for the question, and I'm sort of not surprised it's come up, because unfortunately in the past there were other initiatives that were started with other groups that seem to not include a full opportunity for local stakeholders to be involved. And some of the goals were perhaps because these organizations had wider priorities and interests, they were seeking to impose certain goals and objectives without actually talking or engaging the local stakeholder groups. And we've made very clear to those who raise those concerns to us that, one, none of those groups are partnering with us, and two, we are more than satisfied and confident that the process that my government has engaged with the Waite Foundation through Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program, and with the other partners such as Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences, will not make that mistake. Because we up front made it very clear that we didn't want any of those other groups who have in the past potentially made it even more difficult for the Waite Foundation and others who are generally here to help and work with Bermudians. It made it more difficult for that process because of the suspicion and the animosities that were built up around that process that has since concluded. So we started this process with the Waite Foundation and BOPP which we believe is a clean slate, with none of those legacy characteristics involved. This effort has been designed to start with engagement with the community and with those key stakeholders in the community, so that the mistakes of the past are not made. And not only that, but we have an open door to hearing at any time what anyone has to say. If any suspicions begin to arise, that they can be heard and they can be effectively addressed. And I just know from my own interactions with the Waite Foundation in particular, and those that they are very sensitive to that, and they appreciate the position that's been taken, and they've taken very great care with members of the Ministry of Home Affairs to keep thoroughly engaged with them in the ministry, but also with the local stakeholders, because I think that was perhaps the biggest mistake made in the past.
Awesome. And I think that is very helpful to those wondering minds out there. So thank you very much, Minister, for that. I think this was a very, very, very informative webinar. I want to thank the panelists. And before I close, of course, I have to check in with Kelvy over there, who is creating a masterpiece mural. Kelvy, are we able to? Yes. Wow. Wow. That is quite interesting. And I see that it definitely encompasses all of the main themes that we have talked about today. So for all of those in the public, this won't be the last time you will see this. We will make sure that you can see it up on the website and social media so you can have a closer look. And that would be awesome. So thank you very much, Kelvy, for your contribution today. This has been an eye-opening experience for me. Overall today, some of the key messages that I hear is the blue economy planning allows a country to intentionally plan for the future of its marine environment, optimizing prosperity and sustainability. Also, community and stakeholder consultations are a critical part of both processes and provide an opportunity for all Bermudians to ensure that their perspectives are prioritized. So as we mentioned, there is multiple opportunities for engagement. I think Ms. Mapp mentioned that there were 8 different groups that you can be a part of, and you all are invited to this process. In particular, we have the Ocean Village, where we will have the link in the comments where you can be a part of that survey. So again, I want to thank you for all coming out today. I want to thank you, Minister Roban, and your ministry.
Kyle, could I just give one last little comment before you finish your closing? And I apologize for interrupting you.
Absolutely.
But I just wanted to say that I was particularly moved by the comments of our colleague from the Azores, in particular because one, our island has a strong connection with the Azores. So I look forward to hearing more of their experience as well in this area, and perhaps even some sort of partnership or with the Azores in working together going forward. But also the comments about the wider economy. I do think that our past 6 months as a planet has actually made his comments very relevant, in that we have for too long used the ocean as either a dumping ground or as an extractor to benefit the land economy. Mm-hmm. And we've now got to change the whole economic perspective that will benefit islands like ours and the Azores and so many other islands that are kind of experiencing the byproducts of global climate change. But we've got to change the global economy so that the ocean is seen as being a key economic driver, just as minerals that are extracted from the ground are, and ensure that we don't use the oceans as a dumping ground any further for our economic byproducts like we're seeing, and to mitigate the damage that we've already done and improve the ocean's health so that not only do the oceans improve, but the global economy and the health of humankind improves. So I think that is the approach I think we're all embracing. And I look forward to working with everybody here and others who are tuned into this webinar to generate ideas that we all, not only Bermuda, but the wider community that we are trying to link ourselves to, can prosper, and also our friend in Grenada. I'd just like to say that my family is from Carriacou and from Lefthare Bay, so perhaps we can talk at some time later. But I'm a lover of Grenada as well, and all the islands. So look forward to speaking to Mr. Baldeo as well, and our friend Mr. Gonçalves as a part of the island family going forward, so that we can all prosper together as island communities with the same vision for our communities. So thank you, Kyle, for that. Allow me to give those few last comments.
Absolutely, and I think that's the perfect way to be able to end this webinar. I think one of the things Emanuel said was healthy ocean, healthy people. So we are all connected, and it's a great feeling to know that we are being led in a way of creating a sustainable future for ourselves. So again, I want to thank the Minister, the Honorable Minister Walter Roban. We would like to thank his ministry also. A special thanks to Canon Purdy and Vanessa Dick of the Wait Institute. They have been a driving force to be able to make this happen. I want to thank you to all of the panelists for your inclusion today. Very, very, very grateful. Grateful to all of those who are involved with the BOPP steering committee or working directly with BOPP. You are also appreciated, and thank you for everyone who joined us today on the webinar. I just want to highlight the links. You can find all of the information on the program at BermudaOceanProsperity.org. At that website, you can also find the link to the Ocean Use Survey. And you can also find us on Facebook, which you are probably already on. But if you're not, you can find us Bermuda Ocean Prosperity, as well as Instagram, Bermuda Ocean Prosperity. Thank you again, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.